Hello everyone, this is Master Crusader again, and I'm talking today about my Zombie SMP plugin. This is actually going to be the video for the Alpha 08a release for this week. I don't have anything to show because all the changes this week have gone into fixing up some exception handling. So I'm actually working in my Let's Play world while I talk about it, but I figured I'd talk about it anyways. So this week's build, there are no visible changes. The big change is a lot of people over the last little bit have been complaining about some concurrent modification exceptions that they were getting, CMEs, which I did some research, and the reason that's happening is because I was scheduling my schedules to run asynchronously, and Bucket's events are not thread safe. They're not serialized, they're not thread safe, so I couldn't run my schedules asynchronously if they used or if they accessed a Bucket event, Bucket event. If the schedules do things by themselves that don't require anything that Bucket would capture as an event and pass off to all the plugins, then they can run asynchronously. But otherwise, they have to run synchronously. They have to run in the same thread that the Bucket server's running in. If you're a programmer, you understand what some of that means. If you're not, all it means is that some of my schedules couldn't run the way that I had them running, which was why they was throwing the exceptions and crashing your servers. So I fixed those. All the schedules that run now run properly. If they're supposed to run asynchronously, which means they can run by themselves without affecting how Bucket runs, they're completely internal and by themselves, then they do run properly. And if they if they have to run synchronously, they have to run using Bucket events, then they're set up to do that as well. So all those exceptions should go away now that I fixed that. So that being said, this release is mainly a bug release. There's nothing really fun to report. However, I did add support for auto saving. When you log out of the game, the plugin automatically saves a backup copy of your settings that you currently have, and that only happened originally when you logged out. Now it still happens when you log out, but it also happens when you for every 5 minutes. And actually, there's a setup or setting in the config.yml to change that to however many minutes you want it to autosave. But by default, it autosaves every 5 minutes. So if your server does crash, your players will only lose, by default, 5 minutes worth of work, max. They'll be, once you bring the server back up, when they log in and join, it will look for that backup file that says that they're currently playing, and it will load all their stats and everything as it was when it last saved. So that's been added as well. This week, what I've been working on for next week's release is a whole mess of enhancements for I'm organizing the code. The way the code is currently written, it all functions, but it's really ugly. So I'm breaking out. If you're not interested in how the code is set up, you can leave now. Thanks for watching my video. But for those geeky types that either write your own Bucket plugins or write software as it is in Java or whatever, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So the way that it was currently written, was, let's go ahead and take these and lay them down. No, it's not. The way it currently was written is I had one listener that listened for every event that the player made. any event for any of the functionality the player would have done, this one listener did, and it became a very, very large class. And though it was functional, it made it very difficult to find bugs with certain features. So what I've done is I've moved all the schedules for everything, all the schedules for bleeding, for instance, player bleeding have been moved to its own package. So the schedule, the listener for bleeding, and everything is self-contained in its own package. So and the reason I did this, the reason I'm focusing on this so hard right now is in preparation for when I release it to beta. I'm going to open source it when it goes to beta so that people can, the main reason I'm going to open source it is I'm going to be taking on some other developers. So if you're interested in developing and helping with this plugin, go ahead and let me know. And when I release it to in beta format, I'm going to be taking on other developers, either to fix bugs or help with feature development. So there's that. But in order for when it goes live, for it to be understandable and coherent for any other developers, I'm making sure that the code is organized nicely. So it's a lot of refactoring and moving code around, but ultimately it's almost a complete rewrite of the system, because I've got to move the classes around, and then I got to edit the classes and edit the packages so that they make sense, and so that they're coherent, and so that everything points to where it needs to point. I'm fixing the every class. I've got a super class that keeps track of all the settings. I've broken out the settings from the text, so any text that displays as a message on the field or on the screen is in its own config file. So if you run a non-English server, you can modify every single one of the messages so that it's in the language of your choice. I've had a lot of requests for that recently, so that's coming in the next release. And I don't expect that there's going to be a lot of new features added to the next release, but the idea is that it'll be easier to use for people who have either multi-languages or whatnot. So there's that. So the next release is probably going to be another one like this. It doesn't have really anything visual, but it's going to be a lot of underlying code enhancements that will make the development quicker and ultimately better for future releases. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. Go ahead and download it. The new download link is available on the Bucket dev server, the webpage for this plugin. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Master Crusader signing off. Cheers.